Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crushing Comics. I'm your host, Peter, also known many locations on the internet as Crisis with a K. I'm joined here by two of my favorite ex-friends, ex-fans on the internet, Tyler and Fariha, and we are talking about Dawn of X. We just had a pretty long episode to talk about our favorite books, but now we want to have a much quicker round where we just talk about our top favorite moments, scenes, characters, just the things that have really stuck out across all of Dawn of X as we get ready for X of Swords. So spoiler alert, this is current up through this week. We will spoil everything there is to spoil if it was good. If it's not good, it won't get mentioned. So Tyler, why don't you start? What is your number one, the best of all of Dawn of X moment in any Dawn of X comic book?
Well, I don't want to spoil by saying the best because I think Fariha has the same best
we
scene
might
for me.
all have the same best scene.
So I'm going with the one that I remember really vividly right now.
So second best.
Kind of second best because there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
But let me bring out one first. And that is Nanny threatening Mr. Sinister.
Yes! This week in Hellions, which, by the way, what a crazy freaking comic book Hellions is. Oh my god.
So crazy.
Nanny is the MVP X-Men character of the week in the category of sentences I never thought would escape my mouth. Mm-hmm. And Nanny just threatens Sinister. Now, Nanny and Sinister's story has been intertwined ever since Inferno days, sort of.
Yeah.
But it's just, she's an egg.
with a really nicely drawn lip.
Beautiful lips. Well-defined Cupid's bow on the top lip. I mean, it was ludicrous. It was funny. Honestly, all of Hellions 4 that comes after the final data page, to me, I know it's a recency effect, but I cackled. When I tell you I cackled out loud, Sinister's note about everybody getting their aggression out, the whole what happened with Madeline Pryor, we won't spoil it too hard, but oh my gosh, if you're a late 80s Claremont X-Men fan, you need to go and read Hellions right now.
Yep.
All right.
I'm excited to read that. I'm not caught up with that at all. So
I think you would love it.
I'm really interested to see what you think about it because I don't know if you know the history of any of these characters in particular, but I find it to be just delicious.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Who is it by?
Zeb Wells. He's written a lot of terrific comics. He wrote an awesome run of New Mutants right around Second Coming. He wrote a little bit of Sam Alexander as Nova. He kind of comes and goes because I think he does TV writing too, but he very rarely turns in a less than great comic book. Yeah. He's also very good at writing Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
So since we all think the one that Fariha will say will be all of our collective number one favorite, I will go with maybe a number two favorite. I really loved thinking about, again, this newer set of books. I really love Mojoverse in X Factor right now by Leah Williams. I think Mojoverse has never been scarier. It's never felt more present. It feels really, really sinister. And she's making it funny without just making it a comedy book. I think Leah Williams is very funny and she writes really funny comic books. And I sometimes get afraid that it's just going to be hijinks the whole time and it's not going to be serious. But she managed to find funny moments and still made Mojo World really creepy. And I super, super appreciated that. I know it's another recency effect one, but the past two issues of X Factor for me have just been really, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Question:
I agree.
Does X Factor has Madrox in it already, or doesn't?
No.
Then it's not. It's not valid.
X Factor, it's retained the investigation aspect, but I'm trying to think: are any of them classic X Factor cast members?
Yeah. Polaris,
right. Polaris is a second generation OG.
And, Shatterstar is part of it.
Yeah. So, Fariha, we all suspect you're going to say what is obviously the best moment. No pressure.
I'm scared now. Which one do you guys think? Okay, give me a hint.
I think we should just say it and we should just
say it.
Yeah, just say it.
So, it's all from Moraders. All my favorites are from there. And I think the one that, oh my God, now I'm so scared to say it.
I now might be going in a totally different direction.
Yeah, come on.
The one that I think the most favorite moment of mine, and it's just a very non-moment, but it's just the one between Kate and Emma about Emma's nose. To me, I find that to be the most hilarious comment and the stuff ever. That they're talking about life and death, and that Kate may never be regenerated, and Emma's like, I don't know which nose I'm gonna come back, and then she's like, oh, come here, give me a hug. Like, I don't know, something about that moment sold me. Like, it was one of the best. I don't know. I'm still kind of reeling from it. Like, it was just such a non-moment, but it's still, to me, it's like, this is what X-Men should be about. That's what they're worried about. That they're so powerful and they're so competent. Their worry is which nose they're going to be reborn with. Like, and I was just like, to me, that's been the number one moment.
So now I think we'll count to three, and Tyler and I will say the thing that we think you were going to say as you're right. Yeah. So 1.
We just say the name of the character.
No, I think we should say the line. It's a line. Are you thinking of a line? I'm thinking of a specific line. Yeah. All right.
I'm thinking.
So 1, 2, 3. Bring back my wife. No, what did you say?
I say the second line. You say bring back my wife, and I was like, we'll burn the whole thing down.
Yes. Fariha, how is that not your favorite?
How is that not
named after Mystique?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a moment, because that whole issue is my favorite.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Like, to me, so that X-Men number 6. So I am obsessed with Mystique. Like, from the movie, like, it's like, I'm like, from the X-Men movie, like, Mystique I've been like mystified by Mystique, let's just say. And if I am going to be, if I'm going to be a mutant, that's the power I want. I love, like, Brian Kibon and Sean McKeever's run on, like, solo run, and of her, everything about, not necessarily Jennifer Lawrence, Mystique, don't care for that.
Take your lead.
But
Rebecca Romijn is better.
Yeah, everything else, I'm just, like, super obsessed with her. So that one issue where it was all about how they're hanging this, this thing on top of her and just blackmailing her into doing the thing. And then she's just getting annoyed, like, like upset. And then the final page of it, that was a pure moment. And the thing is, this is why I love Hickman. Like, this is, like, he has, like, I know that Peter is not, like, necessarily a fan of him, but Hickman has these moments in his comics that just kind of come suddenly, where a character will just shine through. And this was that. And to me, that one issue was just simply the perfect. And the thing is, even at the end of it, she didn't get, like, Destiny, I think her name.
Yeah.
She hasn't gotten her yet. And then she's just, like, seething in anger in like, somewhere down there. And then she's still in the council, and she's not actually shown anywhere else so far.
She's kind of, like, receded a little bit, because now it's like a gun on the mantle waiting to go off,
Right. And it's just there. I mean, to me, that's just been, it's perfect. That's to me, I was just counting more as, like, a concept or a thing.
Yeah. A little broader than one.
Not necessarily a moment.
It's still my favorite moment. That panel of her saying, is it bring back my wife or I'll burn it all? Like, I screamed for a couple reasons. One, because I think that was one of the best X-Men single issues we've had in, like, at least a decade. I just think it's a all-time classic X-Men issue. So 1. 2, it proves that Hickman can do good characters, and he can write characters of different genders. They don't all have to be men monologuing about things. And, like, I want to love Hickman for that reason. Like, we all know, as much as they talk trash on his Marvel stuff, I love his indie stuff. I loved Manhattan projects. Like, I loved his Fantastic Four. Like, I know that Hickman can do character stuff, and it doesn't all have to feel like a D&D source book of the world of X-Men. And that issue just felt so, like, alive to me. And then 3, because we called it in HiX-Men report, what Mystique was often doing on the space station. Like, we spent so much time speculating about it in that episode, and it just, like, made me really appreciate how clever we were, because Hickman paid it off. I mean, how clever Hickman is, because he paid it off, but we noticed.
Yeah, he did
too. Yeah. Tyler, I mean, why? Oh, Fariha, and then Tyler.
I was just going to say that that one panel where Professor X is saying that yes, it was successful. We all thought in House of X he's talking to Cyclops, but he actually wasn't. He was actually talking to her. Like, that paneling, like, and this is also something that Hickman does. He did it in, like, Avengers as well. There's, like, this whole paneling thing when you think one thing is happening, but later
in
it comes
retrospect.
back to show
Yeah.
It's actually completely something different happening. He does that so well, and this is also something that has been done here as well. And also, I want to mention my cat's name is Lady Darkholme, which is after Raven Darkholme, and I love Mystique that much, like, you know, that I named my cat after her.
Is that your cat's favorite issue?
She was there the longest for it, like, because she's kind of usually sits next to me while I'm reading, and she kind of stared at it the longest. So I don't know, like, take what you want to do with it.
So Tyler, why is it one of your favorite moments?
I think it manages to tie in a few things, like, you know, it touches on the history of Mystique and Destiny. That's the first thing. And then it brings back Hotspox, you know, everything that was kind of set up there. And yeah, of course, I mean, we guessed that Mystique was off doing something. She did not get lost, like she said. So, you know, that was kind of a moment for us, like, oh, yes, we guessed it.
All
that
right.
She did something. Yeah.
So now I'm going to go around. Oh, Fariha?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, do you think that HiX-Men does better with characters that are not necessarily established? Like,
Well,
you know, not
Mystique's
necessarily
established.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know, but the thing is, like, it's not a lot about her. I don't know.
I think her voice is a little bit more mutable just by who she is. You know, Jean, I feel like, has this very specific, compassionate, steely voice, but like you kind of know what you want out of a Jean Grey voice. And I think there's like Logan has a very specific voice. And Mystique's voice, even though she can be kind of tough, I don't know that her voice is like I recognize that. That's a Mystique line in the way that like a Storm line is, you know? Yeah. So I do think there's that aspect to Mystique.
Okay. All right.
Tyler, would you agree with that?
Well, I think Hickman writes best when he really likes the character.
Yeah.
Like his Monet is always pitch perfect. Right? So like
and she's
girl. She's an ex-woman, right? so that's one thing.
But
and
I
then
think also...
Say it again?
No, go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I mean that's
ahead.
where I think it is for Hickman. He likes certain characters, he writes them well. Some characters he wants to use them, but he kind of like maybe I don't like it. So I think Freya is stuck.
Freya is like in an interdimensional void. Now she's back. So now we talked about some favorite moments, which we wound up getting 2 each. Lovely. What about MVP characters? Clearly Kate is going to be one of our top nominations. We don't have to go back and renominate Kate. Who in Docs has stuck out to you, maybe in a new way or in a different way than previously? Tyler?
Wow, it's very complicated for Tyler.
Yeah, I know. What about you? You can think about it first. You can talk about it first. What I think.
For me, it would be Sebastian Shaw. Like,
really?
Yeah, because, you know, he's like a very, like I talked about in the last episode, that he's like a very complicated villain, and his motivation is kind of like, if you take it just by Marauders, he doesn't come off very good. But if you combine it with the New Mutant side of things, it's very different. And I want to see that. I feel like he's like a worthy villain for Emma, and I want to see how that kind of plays out. So to me, he kind of stood out. And then it's like he's a villain, but then, you know, as Tyler mentioned, that he just wants more and more and more, and it's like, how much more can you want, and where does it stop? Where will he stop? Like, I'm going to be on record saying that he's gonna end up next to Sabretooth. Like, that's where he's going. It's just gonna be how he gets there.
So for me, I have it between 2, and it's not from one of my favorite titles, actually. I love what Teenie Howard is doing with Betsy Braddock, who we used to know as Psylocke and now as Captain Britain. I think so much of her comics history, which I have read a ton of, because I do like classic Captain Britain a lot. I just think it gives us an aspect to her that's not just about her identity problems. Like it shows her back in her body. It shows her back in Britain. It references like original stuff that Claremont set up for her in the 70s as Brian's sister. And it shows her being like a powerful leader in a way that we frequently haven't had, because she's so often a sex object, right? It's one of the reasons that I loved Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force, and it's one of the reasons I actually really enjoy Teenie Howard's Excalibur, is that I just like Psylocke when she's given dimension. She's a really interesting character, and I think that's been like tossed away too many times over the years. But also in Excalibur, I really love what Teenie Howard has done with Jubilee. Like Jubilee was again coming off of being a vampire. She's adopted this kid. There's like all this baggage where she just hasn't really felt truly Jubilee. And like she really to me feels like this like young 20s single mom who like doesn't know what she's gotten into. She's still as sassy as ever, but she like cares about her kid and she cares about Gambit and Rogue, who she kind of grew up with. And it just really comes through. I think there's very few people at Marvel who do character voices as well as Teenie Howard. And for Psylocke and for Jubilee, to me, it just paid off. As somebody who's loved them for like 30 years now, it really just makes me happy the way that she writes them, and they've really stuck out for me.
I mean, I wouldn't. So my choice wouldn't be sort of the MVP, but I thought it's the character that is really, really written well, and that would be Beast.
Who draws much fan ire, because some fans really think he's the worst, and some fans are like, "No, leave Beast alone." So where do you think he's being written well, and what about it is so great?
I think it's just fascinating that he's actually, I think, the true villain in this whole thing. Like he doesn't know he's being the villain. He thinks he's doing the best job, for Krakoa. He's rationalizing it in that way. And I think that is a really fascinating take on him. I mean, if you look at the history of what he has done before, especially his alternate self, like the Dark Beast from the Age of Apocalypse, the original five when they came back, and during the Messiah trilogy, where he was willing to sacrifice everything to find a cure for mutants. So this is that aspect of him. He's willing to put everything on the line for Krakoa. And he thinks that he's smart. And I think that's the problem. He's too arrogant.
I was joking with somebody who knows, might have been on Twitter, that he's a classic character who is, if you play any like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that, high intelligence, low wisdom. Like he doesn't he doesn't think through. He's so smart, he'll solve the problem, but he never really considers all of the ramifications of his actions.
Yeah.
So kind of like Reed Richards from Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially in Chip Zdarsky's X-Men, like he really did not think through some of those decisions. No.
Okay, so that I hated that issue. Like I expect better from Chip Zdarsky.
I do, expect better.
That last 2 pages or 3 pages or however was one of the best. Like, I loved it. I hate Reed Richards, and the fact that he got an ass kicking was like more of that.
So finally, before the internet gives up on all of us, I want to just throw one lightning round topic out.
Oh, that should be one of them.
So my final lightning round topic, if Fariha ever unfreezes, if not, I don't know, is the love quadrangle, the open polyamory. I don't know how we've gotten through all this without talking about it. We kind of noticed it at the end of Hoxpox. Jean is with Cyclops. She's with Wolverine. Is Emma with Cyclops? Is Cyclops with Logan? Without getting into the whole deep... that I broke Fariha down there. I think they are together, okay? So without getting too deep into this, how do we feel about it 1 year on? Because we were very skeptical about it at the beginning. Is Jean with Emma? Like, there's so many permutations. They have an open shared bedroom on the moon. Like,
the thing is, like, other than the shared bedroom, it's not even talked about. Like, it just brought up every once in a while it is brought up by, that there was one time Cyclops was welcoming Wolverine to join them in the family thing and stuff like that. Sure, but the thing is, like, nothing about it is super juicy or super it's like that's not, because so many other bigger things going on about them becoming a nation and everything. That really doesn't matter to me at this time.
Okay, hold on. So you say that no evidence. I'm going to list down the evidence for you.
Tyler is here. He's ready. He prepared.
I'm ready. So in X-Men 3...
I'm not saying that there is not evidence. I'm like, it's just not... in my face. I want it to be in my face.
It is in your face. That's what I'm saying. It's coming in to be in your face. So in X-Men 3, Emma called Scott dear. So that's one thing. I mean, it's an affection. In Giant Size, Jean Grey and Emma Frost, Scott and Jean were holding hands. And then Jean kissed Logan on the cheek. Not on the mouth yet. And then in X-Men 7, there's this whole interaction between Scott and Wolverine about sleeping and him being Harry and things like that, right? And then in Wolverine 1, Jean says that, Wolverine told Jean that you never have to look too hard for me. I'm always here for you. And then I think in one of the issue, they were holding hands as they walked through. In one of the X-Force issue, they were holding hands as they passed through a portal. I think that might be in Wolverine 1. No, that's in Wolverine 1. Wolverine 1, Jean and Logan were holding hands as they walked through.
Tyler brings receipts.
Yeah. And then I think and then Cable started calling like Wolverine Uncle Logan.
So here's what that stuck out to me, and here's what I appreciate about this. I think we all thought at first that it was going to be played in this sensationalized way, like, an open relationship. Oh, Jean's going to kiss Emma. it's Madonna and Britney on the VMAs, right? They're going to kiss. It's showing my age and my Madonna, my everlasting Madonna fandom. But what it really is it's about found family. Like, I think at first there was this, like, Logan would only be living with them if he's in a romantic relationship with them. And maybe he is. I think signs point to him and Cyclops being together, and I will continue to say that. Yeah. But I think more than that, it's about, like, he's been accepted into their family. He's been part of this for so long. He's been there for them so many times that he's family. And I think that, we've seen that in many other ways with the original X-Men between, Iceman and Beast, between Jean and Storm. And I think it's just nice to, in the same way that no characters are dying anymore, to just bury the Wolverine and Cyclops hatchet, bury the, like, supposed love triangle with Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean, or with Jean and Emma and Scott, and to just say, like, they all care about each other. And I actually think that that's revolutionary, and it allows us to have better comics than playing this will they or won't they game. And you know what? If you want to think that they're off shagging off camera, more power to you. But if you just want to think that they're a group of people who really care about each other, I think that works too. And I think that's actually, as much as I hated it at the beginning, I kind of like it now.
Yeah. The only two people that are not shagging is Emma and Wolverine.
Yeah, that's definitely not a thing.
That's definitely not happening.
For sure not happening.
Correct.
How do you know that? How do you know that? The thing is, I feel like because the everything else is so much bigger, like so many bigger things happening, that the fact that this kind of happened and it's great, but it's just not, I feel like it's not explored as much as it should be. But it's just like you said, it's like, okay, if you're really focusing into it, you can see those moments happening, which I think is a good thing. Like, you know, in a way, because so many other things going on, personal issues at this point kind of stops making much sense. Like, you know, so it's just, we don't know, like, you know, I'll keep this in mind, and I'm going to keep looking for those moments that you talked about.
Yeah.
But well, the thing is though, as under this, I think you pointed it out to me. I didn't even notice those rooms were together.
Oh my god, when that issue hit the internet and we're all on Twitter, it was like the only topic that anybody was talking about.
Yeah, the only thing is that I'm like, oh, it is. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Oh. So I went through this whole moment, you know, but the thing is, like, it just, I'm going to be surprised as though, like, you know, that, how much STD is rampant in Krakow?
Well, yeah, I'm sure they've got a flower for that.
Yeah.
So
no coronavirus either.
So I think the upshot, if we can kind of summarize last episode and this episode, is even though there's a couple of things we personally dislike in here, it is actually a pretty good time to be an X-Men fan. Whether you're like a super established X-Men fan or a newer X-Men fan, like, life is good right now. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yes.
I will. And to be honest, though, I'm actually, like, you know, kind of scared of how, once this ends with the new X-Men, where's they gonna go? Because what, are we gonna forget about all these glory days and then just gonna be hunted again? Like it's like, you know, I don't want that. And then I'm also kind of wanting to see, and this is kind of like my wish list, and how this is being incorporated in rest of the Marvel universe. Like at this time, it feels like they're IP on their own. That the rest of Marvel universe doesn't exist. So
some of Marvel has mentioned
Yeah.
it. Come up in Avengers. It's come up in, I think, in Black Panther. Like people have made some. It's certainly come up in Cap because Selene is the future villain in Cap.
Yeah.
And she, here in X-Men, so like it's a very soft touch, and it's I feel like maybe something. Oh, and Empire, of course, because the part of what was happening in Empire was happening on the moon, and they're like, oh, should we handle that? And they're like, no, the X-Men took care of it. So it's been hinted about, but I kind of feel like Hickman was allowed to have this incubation period where like nobody else was going to get too up in his business, and like maybe X of Swords is going to kind of create a watershed moment where we are going to have to start encountering more connections. I don't know. I'm really interested to see. Is the dawn of X over now? Like, has dawn ended? Is X of Swords kind of marketing our transition to a middle phase? Or are we still very early in the run? Yeah. Second breakfast of X? Like,
second breakfast of X.
11 Z's of X?
Yeah, I know.
You got to hit all those Hobbit meals.
You got to hit you got to get all the hobbits. I know. I mean, yeah, I'm interested to see how this whole thing plays out in the greater Marvel universe. But in some ways, I always like the X-Men to be silo. I mean, that's how Claremont writes it. Like everything is like contained within like the 3 or 4 titles that he was writing at that time. And you know, I mean, I kind of don't appreciate Wolverine like appearing everywhere. Like he's in Black Cat.
It's been sort of a relief that he's relatively not overused. He's popped up a couple places, but it's kind of nice to only have Logan in a few times. It makes you actually appreciate him. Like I do like Wolverine, but I don't like Wolverine when he's in 10 books a month. But I can appreciate him when he's in like 2 books a month. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Well, look, we have a lot of X of Swords ahead of us. It's a long, direct crossover in a way that comic books have not done a whole lot in the last decade. We're talking issue to issue action over how many chapters is it? 15, 20? It's a lot of
21, I think.
21 chapters. So we are going to be back with some form of conversation around X of Swords. I can't say what yet, issue by issue, week by week, month by month. I don't know. But you have not seen the last of this particular collection of mutants.
And we'll keep trying to resurrect Zach.
Maybe
to make
eventually
sure that he comes up.
Yeah, we got to get him. We got to bring him back right.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, he's not ripe yet. He's not. He's just not cooked ripe yet.
That's a great.
Man.
What a choice of words.
So on that note,
What are you talking about? I just read that issue. It's from X-Force. X-Force 6 or 5, I think.
On that note, thank you so much for watching. If there's other X things you want to see us talk about, leave us a comment below. Subscribe so that you can continue to see when we return to be resurrected again to talk some X of Swords. And thank you so much for watching Crushing Comics.